Exactly. And I'm telling you, the easiest way to get your kid scratched off of a college recruiter's
is to
list
be that dad.
is to be the person who's constantly trying to talk to them while they're trying to evaluate your kid. Yeah. Hey, my son in travel ball, he threw 5 scoreless innings when we played in this tournament last week in Arizona.
And we won.
We went out and we won the tournament.
We got a great T-shirt.
He threw the championship game, and the coach is like, I don't care. I don't care.
It's not about what you did then. It's about what can you do for me now, today.
I'm watching your kid play right now.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you did, And so a lot of times you get these parents that they just want to talk about their kid. And I guess the third thing would be build relationships is more. The coaches want to deal with good people. And a good way to gauge a kid is to gauge how their parent acts. That's a very good way.
Can parents sabotage their kids?
They do it all the time.
That is the easiest way to sabotage your kid. Because if all of a sudden you start hearing from a parent about performance and he did this and he touched 90 miles an hour and he threw a perfect game and they start rattling off stats at you about all the different milestones that he's hit here and there, well, guess who the kid probably is? He's probably a stat rack milestone guy who's trying to make sure he's throwing 92 instead of learning how to get guys out. And so baseball is a very bottom line business where you can throw 100 miles an hour, you can hit the ball 500 feet, you can do all this, but how do you help us win? Mm-hmm. How do you fit into our formula?
That's why it's a baseball team.
That's why it's a team sport. And the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants have the formula figured out. They get really good dudes. Buster Posey has never talked about his stats ever. He's never talked about it. And he just quietly is one of the greatest players of our generation. And he doesn't talk. And they figure this out. Same thing with guys like Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina doesn't talk about how many base runners he's thrown out at second base. He doesn't talk about his strikeout to walk ratio or his on base plus slugging or all these stats that don't matter. He likes to win, and he talks about winning and team. And he's competitive. And if you're a parent who's talking about stats and velocities and things like this to a college recruiter, he's sitting there going like, dude, you're talking about stuff that really in the long run doesn't matter. Can you win? Mm-hmm. Can I win with you? And they're evaluating your kid, and you're talking to the coach, it becomes a nuisance. It becomes annoying, and they don't want to deal with it.
That's true, I think, in a lot of respects when it comes to working with children. Yeah. For example, in sports conditioning, in our athletic development, sports performance, what I've noticed, and I've noticed it also when we do our hitting and pitching lessons, we do our team events, whenever a kid makes a mistake and the parent is present, they never look at their coach.
Yep.
They always look at their parents. Mm-hmm. And there's one of two things. It's either fear, which is really sad, or it's disappointment. Did I disappoint daddy?
Disappointment one.
And it really detracts from their education, and it really, I think, it deteriorates their experience and their ability to play the game or to grow, because they're not looking at the coach for guidance. They're looking at their parent for affirmation or to make sure they're not in trouble on the way home.
You know what the best piece of advice I could give to parents in that regard is what Kyle said, let your kid play the game, take a step back, stop trying to control everything, because at the end of the day, whose game is it? It's his game, and realistically, it's up to him whether or not he goes and puts in the work. Mm-hmm. It's up to him whether he has the passion for it. It's up to him whether he wants to listen and take in the information and the advice that's coming in from the coaches. Parents should be silent supporters. That's what I always tell the parents: is be a silent supporter.
To a point. I'll counter you with this: that as a parent, a lot of times, especially the parent of a 17 to 18-year-old, like you talked about, they don't think about the long run, and the parent's job is to make sure that you ask the appropriate questions when it comes to the university, the different avenues that your son has for getting a quality education. What kind of programs do you have? Things of that nature. That's why I want to use that third bullet point as build relationships. Yeah. It's a good thing to still communicate with the coach. I don't want people to think that coaches don't want to deal with parents. They don't want to deal with a parent who's going to only talk about their kid and the stats that he's put up and why he should be playing and
what he did.
They want to deal with parents who are good people. If you're a good person and you're asking questions because you're concerned about your son, coaches respect that. They want you to ask those questions. Hey, if he's able to attain a scholarship, what kind of academic money is out there for him to be able to supplement that?
And where can I go to get it?
What kind of living do you guys have on campus? Do you guys have off-campus housing that's funded through the school? Or, things like that are questions, and that's why you need to do some research. But ask those questions. Those are perfectly acceptable questions. You have to pick the right time to ask it. When a coach is evaluating, you go to these camps, and the coach is evaluating your kid, not the right time to be asking those questions. But when the camp's over, if you want to say, hey, coach, can I ask you a couple of questions? I just had some questions about your program, about the school and things like that. They're usually more than happy to sit down and go, yeah, what do you got? And then you can kind of just talk to them and say, hey, it's really nice to meet you, man. I'm so-and-so's dad. I don't want to talk about him. I'm curious about just your school and your program because we are interested in coming here, and potentially playing baseball for you guys. And don't make it about your kid.
Yeah.
Make it about the program, the school, and stuff like that. And you can be active that way, but that is a silent supporter.
Silent supporter.
Because you're not supporting your son, you're supporting the choices of your son.
Sure.
And there's a huge difference in the two. And coaches respect parents that are willing to ask those tough questions that they know the kid is afraid to ask, or maybe not conscious enough to ask those.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches do have respect for that.
Sure.
But they don't want you to come up and go, so what did you think of my kid? How did he look out there? Your coach is going to go, dude, go away.
Plus the side of that too is that you start talking about statistics and you start talking about all the little things that your son can do. You start kind of hinting to the coach where your son fits into his program. Yeah. You don't tell a coach how to do his job.
Exactly.
I mean, it's he throws 93, he should be a starter.
So you said it without me actually saying.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, that's the what I would take offense to is somebody that comes up and says, "Man, my kid, he fields every ground ball. I mean, he makes every single throw. He's got crazy range." To me, it sounds like you're hinting at me that you want me to put him at shortstop, and he's the best player on the field. When maybe I see him as a third baseman or a replacement third baseman. I mean, realistically, and then you start talking to me about that stuff. I don't want to hear how you would run my program. I'm running my program.
Right.
It's based off of what I see in the other coaches and my experience and professional background and history when it comes to that stuff. So that's a big thing, is just not stepping on toes. College coaches don't exactly like that stuff. They've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the thing that that's that famous quote is, I've been doing this 20 years now. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But ask the right questions, though. If you are legitimately interested in your kid going to that program, you do need to get that information, and sometimes the coach is the best source for that. So pick a good time. Usually after the showcase is over or something. Hey, coach, can I talk to you for a second? Do you mind? And you can say your kid's name. Hey, I'm Noah Brewster's dad. We are interested in coming here, but I was curious if what kind of academic money you guys have, or like I said, on-campus housing, things like that. We're just curious because if baseball doesn't pan out, we would still like to go to your school.
Sure.
And go there, and the coach will be more than willing to ask, and they respect those kind of questions.
So really, it's kind of interesting. When you look at the college recruitment process, it's very complicated, and there's so many nuances. But what I think what we did with this conversation is we just kind of illuminated some of the things that parents can do in a proactive way, and give them a little bit of an overview of what it takes. So really, college showcases not necessary till 14. We've got chances of scholarships, as we know, for any academic or not even academic. I mean, academic is a whole other situation, but with athletic scholarships, that's a narrow chance, but always pursue it. And then, of course, the three things that we talked about was we've got to manage expectations. The kids have got to focus on their academics, and they have to have a plan B. And then always build relationships. Building relationships, I think, is really key for both the player and the parent. So, and that gives us a summary. Coach Kyle, thank you so much for taking some time today. I know you have to hit the college now, but thanks for dropping by and giving us this information and dropping the hard truth. We really appreciate it. We're going to do some more segments here pretty soon with Coach Kyle. A lot of them will be in relationship to college recruiting, a lot with our travel ball programming, as he's directing and overseeing that now. And so, good stuff, man. Noah, any final thoughts?
Don't waste your money on showcases till they're actually ready. Take your money and spend it on developing the player and the athlete and finishing the product before you go out to those showcases. Make sure you get opinions of coaches that will give you their honest opinion before you choose to do something like this. if I spend $6,000 on a trip to Georgia to play in front of a bunch of schools that have no interest in California kids, you could have spent that $6,000 on improving your son, getting him faster, bigger, stronger, buying more food for him, whatever
Get some
it is.
personal training, man.
But that's the biggest thing, man. Is just don't spend your money on things that are worthless. Pick and choose the right ones. Invest in the right things. Invest in yourself. Invest in your son, his academic future, and his physical future, and go from there. But don't put all your eggs in one basket and say that I'm going to go to Florida to play in a 12U tournament so that we can get exposure. It just doesn't exist.
That's right.
So,
All right. Thank you all. Submit any ideas for blogs to info@eliteathleticsca.com. We look forward to any feedback. And if you want to talk to Coach Kyle directly, just give the Elite Athletics a call and ask for Coach Kyle, and we'll be sure to get him a message. Or if he's here, he'll take it and give you all the information that you could possibly need, and or more.
God, I hope not.
Likely more. Kyle goes. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.